one of our biggest draws here at Three Forks Ranch, and kind of when we started the guest operation here, that was the main activity that we did, was the fly fishing. We do a lot more things now with shooting sports and in the winter skiing and different things, but back when we really got started here, kind of the major draw was the fly fishing. And people come here just because of the quality of fly fishing that we have here that you can't really get anywhere in the contiguous United States for sure, if not anywhere in North America. And that is simply because of the river restoration work that we did here. When Mr. David Pratt bought Three Forks Ranch in 1998, he bought it as a working cattle ranch, as it still is a working cattle ranch. And he bought it because it had a beautiful river on it. He knew it wasn't in great shape, but you know, the more they got into it, he really saw how poor shape it was in. From 150 years of overgrazing in this area and the West in general, sheep, cattle, whatever, all the riparian habitat was mostly gone from the banks. The river was much wider than you see it now, shallower, so therefore in the summer months, it gets much hotter. During the spring runoff, just, there's nothing to slow it down, so anything that had tried to grow in the spring and summer of the year before is, gets washed downstream. There's no control of sediment for anything like that. So when he looked at it, he says, what can we do here to really make a difference and really make this a legacy, something that'll really last? He contacted Dr. Dave Roskin, who's a river morphologist, and had him come up and say, do you think we can do something here? And they got their heads together looking and said, yeah, I think with a lot of work, and it needed a lot of work, we can really make something special here. So they set about getting all of the permits and things like that it takes to do it, which turned out to be almost one of the harder parts of the project. Took them 18 months alone, and the main holdup with that was the Army Corps of Engineers, who they had to get the permits from, was concerned it was such a large project that it would get started and then wouldn't get finished. So they didn't want to sign off on anything that would not get complete. After going through all the right channels, they finally assured them, hey, we'll get this done. And once they started working on it, they actually got all of the dirt work, rock work completed in 18 months, which is pretty amazing considering that took mining out 22,000 boulders, all of them from here on the ranch, to make 2,200 different structures that would take the river from being, wide and shallow, narrow the river up to make it deeper, send more velocity down the middle of the river. That infuses more oxygen into the river, rolling over all those rocks, helps regulate the temperature more being deeper, and it slows the water down on the edges. So when you do have those spring runoffs, you're not having that fast water, running down the edges against your riparian zones, washing all that out. Controls your silt better, sends your silt better down the river. And as they did that work, they started on the top end of the South Fork, which is the longest of the 3 tributaries of the Little Snake River that we have on the ranch. That was another thing that made them know that it could work, is because we have literally the headwaters of the Little Snake River on the ranch. If we would have been farther downriver, you don't know what someone else is doing upriver, stirring up silt or anything like that. So anything you do is probably going to get wrecked by their neglect. Because of where it's situated, it was just the perfect scenario. They could do something that would last and really make a difference. So they started on the upper forks of the river and worked their way down, always with their machinery literally in the river channel. So as they worked their way down, placing all those boulders, and everyone is specifically drawn out to a plan. Every structure of the 2,200 structures was surveyed. Every rock is specifically where that rock was surveyed to be. They worked their way down the river, placing the structures, and repairing the riparian habitat with willows, cottonwoods, all the things you can see behind me now, sod mats, and then work their way down. Within 90 days after having done that, they could flip over the rocks, see the aquatic insects starting to come out. By the next spring, the fish started to come back. And this is the largest privately funded river reconstruction in North America. And you can see the results still today. Any given day here at Three Forks Ranch could be, the best day of fly fishing that anyone could have anywhere in the world. We still have to go fishing. We have tougher days, and we have days that you can't explain how good it is. But you can come here, you can catch, rainbow trout, the native Colorado River cutthroat trout, the hybrid of those two, the cutbow, brook trout. So, several different species of trout that you can catch here, and up to, not uncommon to catch a few fish over 20 inches every day. Occasionally, catch one over 25 inches, but you also catch plenty of little fish too, so you can see that things are working, the reproduction, and that the river reconstruction and everything is working, that it's a fish producing system. And when I think about what we have here at Three Forks Ranch and what we have to offer and share with all our guests here, it really just blows me away. I mean, thinking about the river restoration and what that's done for the fishing and the riparian habitat and the conservation aspects of it, and thinking about what it was 20 years ago, 50 years ago, 80 years ago, 100 years ago, and being able to come here now and see what's going on, not just with the fishing, but being able to look around and see eagles now that are here because the fish is here, and mink and all of the little songbirds that use everything, and just little things like that might not come to mind, but then, when you start thinking about it, it all matters. That's just such a rewarding thing for me to be here in a place like this. And here at Three Forks Ranch, conservation, sustainability, that's our cornerstone of everything we do. And that's why so many of us have been around here for so long, is because we're and still really are excited about where we've been and where we're going, and we all want this, to be like this and better forever. So that's what we're working for every day. Everything we do, we try to do it sustainably to keep it, as good as it is or better every single day. That's why we're here at Three Forks Ranch.